Hi, I'm Shelley Maurer,
And I'm Cher Emmerich. Welcome to Life Lessons from Pickleball.
where we engage with pickleball players from around the world about life on and off the court.
Thanks for joining us. Welcome, everyone, to Life Lessons from Pickleball. We're really delighted you're with us, and we love all of those subscriptions and likes and shares that you've done. We really appreciate all your support. And today we are really grateful to have with us Melinda Alcosser. Melinda, you have spent more than 3 decades as an educator, even co-founding Connecticut Experiential Learning Center, and now you're helping people discover the world through travel and pickleball.
Melinda, you are a certified IPTPA coach, a USA Pickleball ambassador, and a signature travel expert, which is quite the combination. It's clear that everything you do centers on connection and curiosity.
Working as Carpe Dinkum Pickleball and With Heart Travel, you bring together your love of game, community, and adventure into something truly special. As a signature travel expert, you craft customized journeys where travelers don't just visit, they connect with people, places, and purpose.
That sounds so exciting, Melinda. Blending
Mhm.
travel, purpose, and pickleball in such a meaningful way. But before we dive into all that, what first drew you to the game of pickleball?
Well, thank you so much for having me on this wonderful show, Life Lessons from Pickleball. It's a pleasure to be here. My beginnings started on an island in Maine called Fry Island when it was introduced there in about 2012. Tennis was big, and someone said from Florida, "What about this game? Let's check it out." And so we began playing pickleball, and people started taking to it. And slowly but surely, the tennis courts started to become converted to pickleball courts. And a very funny thing also occurred. My husband, who was raised in Washington State, said, "I know this game." And he recalled memories at that point from his childhood when his father used to bring him to his aunt's house on Whidbey Island, which is about 25 miles north of Bainbridge. So if you know the story of the beginning of pickleball in
Mhm.
1965, his aunt held political fundraisers pre 1965, and they had a badminton net on their yard. They took sawed off tennis rackets and a wiffle ball. They played a game that they called pickle pong. And at these fundraisers, everyone ate his aunt Gretchen's gherkins by the bushelful, and they got pickled. And he ended up telling his story. He wrote a book. It's right here. It's called The Curious History of Pickleball from its origins as pickle pong.
Oh,
It's a great fun read, and it's the prehistory. He mentions all of the folks that are known from the 1965 beginnings, Senator Pritchard and Bill McCallum and Dan Evans, and they're all in there. And it's so that was my beginning, and it was like, wow. But when we started playing in 2012, it was really not as widely known or played, and slowly but surely, I think after the pandemic, people started to take to it. But we had started back then.
so when did it become more than just a game and became more of a purpose for you?
When I started getting more involved into travel, after I had been running my small school, and we shifted gears from being a full-time middle school, I sort of noticed how pickleball was attracting people from different generations. One of my favorite quotes is, "Grandpa, pass the ball." Because it was like this young boy and his grandpa who were this amazing duo. And so I was asked by the travel agency that I started with, named All Travel, that's based in LA, to run pickleball trips. They wanted to run group trips, and I thought, what about pickleball? And so my first trip was in Punta Cana, in Dominican Republic. For me, travel has an element that connects people. So that, and when I was a young child, my parents brought me to lots of different places in the world, and we'd always travel far from where sort of the typical tourists were and tried to be in the country and learn about the people. And my father was really big on having me sort of notice what was around me and connect with the people and the culture. And so I wanted to do that with my pickleball trips and made a connection with a school in Punta Cana that at first was wondering really what I was all about. And I called them and I said, I would like to bring a group of pickleball players here to work with your students. We'd like to bring something to offer you as a gift if there's anything you would like. And they said, wait, you want to come here, work with our students and give us stuff? And they wanted me to come and meet them, and I did, and there was a translator, and they sort of understood I was for real. And so we did. We had about a dozen people from the group join for that first visit, and we worked with about 40 students. And the people on the trip said it was really one of the true highlights of their experience.
Let me interrupt just for a
Mm-hmm.
second. So when you said they worked with the students, what
Yes.
did that entail?
That first trip, we took the pickleball pro that was with us. His name is Lane Etheridge out of North Carolina, and some of the participants. And we broke the group up, the 40 students up into smaller groups of maybe 10 kids, and we each did whatever we sort of decided ahead of time. So Lane did some work with some paddle and small balls that they had. I did a rock pass. So just different activities that could engage the students. And then the next time we went, the
To the
following
same
year,
school?
the
To the
same
same school?
school. So I
Huh?
kept the relationship. I brought a pickleball net, 16 paddles, and some balls. I had gotten a grant from the Selkirk, actually, to bring this along. And we drew some lines with chalk and taught the students. Some of the staff actually knew the game, and they plan to continue it. And I will be going back with a group in a couple of weeks for the third
Oh,
visit to check in on
oh.
those kids. So it's that's my real love and joy with this sport is having it be a vehicle for that kind of connection.
What a cool full circle that you had this childhood education background and you started your own experiential school. And then now with pickleball, you're kind of carrying that same theme. Shelley also has her background in child education and she started her own school too with a group of
Oh,
people. So you two have a really fascinating
Yeah.
connection
great.
there.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about Carpe Dinkum Pickleball.
Well, carpe dinkum,
I
seize the
love that
dink,
name.
seize the
I
day.
know, I love that name.
You know, as we talked about with our students, bring your best self forward. You might have a bad day, you might not be feeling great, but I'm learning at this point in my life, 61. I've been kind of understanding how important and what it means to sort of be present and appreciate the now. And so carpe dinkum is really that kind of sense of here we are on this earth, um, in human form, having this experience. I really think of us actually today. I was thinking about the the hurricane that's happening and how
Yeah.
people are being impacted by that. And I
Yeah.
was just thinking about that we are really a global family, and
Oh, yeah.
sometimes families don't get along, and then you have to write things, and so pickleball is probably a force that can help in that way. And if we're going to seize the dink and seize the day to bring people together.
I love that. So this is probably a good time to tell us about what you're doing with that in Uganda.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I started interacting with someone on Facebook named Kabanda Shafiq. He runs something called the Dream Team Pickleball Academy, and it was one of the first pickleball academies in Uganda. It's outside of Kampala, and you can find them, and they have incredible video footage of these young kids playing pickleball on what look like dirt courts. And his whole mission is to work with underserved youth and to have pickleball elevate their lives. And he's now recently brought girls into the mix, which is a big deal because the
Yeah.
water situation in these villages often cause young girls and older women to have to walk miles literally every day to bring water back to their families. And I am connected with an organization here in Connecticut called Call to Care Uganda. It started in 2007 by a woman named Martha Hoffman. And they've built about 94 wells and
Wow.
changed lives incredibly, because you don't just go to the tap and turn the water on when you have to walk miles to get dirty water that
Right.
is unsafe. About 1,000 children die each day from diseases related to unsafe water.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so Call to Care Uganda has partnered with me, and I am in the process of raising $10,000 to build a borehole well. Banda did his homework and got a quote from a well company and made sure that it actually could be built there, and all of that is ready to go. My dream and my vision, you ready?
Yep.
Ready.
There are, what, 4.8 million pickleball players, I guess, at last count, just in the United States. The Carpe Dinkum Giving Club. If every pickleball player contributes even $1 a year as an annual contribution, we could really have an incredible fund to fund valuable causes, right? So
Great.
if I'm up for that, if I don't want to do it by myself, so anyone who's interested in, kind of joining forces, I'm always about collaboration, but that's the idea. So this is the first project of the Carpe Dinkum Giving Club, and there is a link to donate and all that.
We'll put that link in our text this episode
Thank
so
you.
people can just click
Thank
on
you.
that as
Beautiful.
well. What a fabulous idea. We both, Shelley and I, have been overseas a lot, and in developing countries, we're keenly aware of the desperate need for clean water. And as you say, girls in particular usually miss out on life because they're spending all their time getting water from the river and bringing it back again for hours and miles. That is fantastic, and that you've combined pickleball. So in Uganda, you are also having, is pickleball a part of that trip as well?
So it will be. So the plan is, and whenever there's a well installed, there's a big celebration, and I would like to go there. And they're sort of always interested in having coaches come, and so I would put a trip together around that. I really love facilitating trips and leading trips. It might take a year to 2 years to have this all come together, so I may try to get there before that as well.
Yeah. Have you been?
I have not. I have not yet been to Africa. I'm a percussionist though too. I've studied West African drumming and that kind of thing. So
You'll fit right in. That's fantastic.
yeah.
So, what's the connection? You have also a travel, you have your
Hmm.
own travel company
Yes.
called With Heart
With Heart
Travel,
Travel. Yeah.
and Carpe Diem Dinkum is a
Mhm.
separate entity, or how are they? And tell us about both. Tell us
Sure.
about your travel.
So With Heart Travel is really travel that is led with the heart and opens hearts and minds. So it could be pickleball with heart. It could be women's travel with heart, family travel with heart. Those are all under that umbrella of With Heart.
I
Carpe
see.
Dinkum just happens to have a longer name. I sometimes have trouble getting one name, so I have multiple parts to the With Heart, but it's all under that kind of umbrella of With Heart experiences, intentional kind of ways to have a transformative experience. There's something now that's really happening called transformational travel and regenerative travel, where
Hmm.
it's a little more intentional, where, it's not just about booking trips or going to a destination and kind of being a tourist, but what impact might one have on the location, and also what impact on oneself from
Yeah.
having that experience. People have been traveling for thousands of years, um, and it's interesting where we are in the world right now with what travel kind of means to people and what it can allow for.
I think the younger generations are really wanting something more meaningful than just to go and visit places too. So the perfect timing for you. So all of us and retired now, that's a big interest of mine too. So yeah, that's fantastic. How do you decide where to go and where have you gone?
Well, I just got back from Ecuador, and that was quite something. I was in the
Oh,
Galapagos in Ecuador.
oh,
Um, I am very interested I've been to Guatemala quite a few times. And, each of these places happens to have pickleball. It doesn't mean that every time I travel, I have to include that. There are other things, in the world,
There
but
are.
it's,
are there? Are you sure?
I
Yeah,
suppose.
really?
But it's kind of nice to think about, the ways that it could be included. So,
Yeah.
um, I was in Australia a couple of years ago and really fell in love with that, and actually have a Dink Down Under plan uh, happening
Oh, I love that.
to go there as
Great
well.
name.
Let's go back to
And the
your
place,
Ecuador
yeah,
trip because that's someplace I've always
Sure.
wanted to
yeah,
go. What did
Mhm.
travel
yeah.
your travel with heart look like there?
So, I was on a trip with other travel advisors for this one. It was a
Okay.
signature travel educational journey, and I applied for it and was accepted. And so I was there with 9 other wonderful, happened to be all women group of travel advisors from different parts of the country. And we were there with Metropolitan Touring, which is a company that is local to Ecuador. And we went to the Galapagos. We went on a little cruise. We visited an amazing place called the Mashpi Lodge, which is in the Choco cloud forest. And it was started by the former mayor of Quito, who
Mm.
noticed that this was being logged and kind of destroyed. And since 2012, I believe, he purchased 3,000 acres at this point of this land that he sort of transformed into a beautiful ecological center where university students and others actually go there.
Oh,
And there's species that are endemic to that part of the world that this lodge is contributed to saving. um, and it was quite an experience. I mean, you really do get to feel like you're in this land that Darwin,
Mm.
kind of did so much with, understanding how evolution worked and these animals. And
oh.
they're not afraid of people in an interesting way. And when we first got there, we landed in a place called Santa Cruz, near in the start of the Galapagos. And you start driving, um, and on the side of the road, sometimes here we see dogs. Well, there were giant tortoises just
Oh,
on people's yards, and
Wow.
right outside the window. And so that was like, okay, I guess I'm in a new place, right? So it's pretty interesting.
Toto, we're not
Yeah, we're not in Kansas anymore.
not in
Yeah,
Kansas anymore.
yeah.
Uh, what are
But
some of the poignant stories from your various travels that you can share?
mm,
Ways that you've seen change in lives?
well, some of the things that I actually experienced as a young child still are so important to me. My brother and I were lucky enough to have parents that were travelers, and my dad had friends in Haiti. And we
Hmm.
spent a number of years there visiting Port-au-Prince. We stayed at a place called the Hotel Olafsen, which at that time was a place where a lot of writers and journalists went. And we had quite a time as young children, kind of exploring and being there. And that, I'll never forget just that impression that I got of just how people, live in a different, kind of environment and setting. And there were definitely a mix of, poverty that I saw, but also just beautiful, amazing people. Um, we did visit orphanages, and there is a story of my mom coming up to our room, and our clothes were gone. And I guess we had given all our clothes away to somebody that a young child that we were playing with that came by and,
Oh,
showed up. So I just think I just saw, yeah, that was a very important time in my life that has never left me. Um, but one of the things that, is happening now that I think is really deepening my understanding of what travel can do is I'm taking an experience design course with an organization called the Transformational Travel Council. And it's an organization that's got all sorts of other called allies that are part of it, who work with the same type of things that I'm, sort of passionate about, which is this um, travel that transforms, travel that touches in a deeper level, and in sort of a conscious way. And it's so I'm working on, kind of building my business around that. And I think it's kind of validating a lot of what I've felt for a while. And it's funny because you don't have to go far to sort of have the travel mindset. I mean, that's the wonderful thing. It's it's curiosity. It's reconnecting with, maybe you can call it your inner child. It's reconnecting with your spirit, and just kind of opening your eyes every day and trying to find something you're grateful for, and
Wow.
realizing, we have our breath, we have, just so many things that we can bring to the world, each of us in a different way. So, yeah.
And I love that mindset. The just when you're saying transformative travel, because I know there's so many areas of the world right now that are just getting so inundated with people,
Mm.
and to
Hmm.
really to
Right.
go
Yeah.
right and to just go and be thoughtful and think about what
Hmm.
can we add, not just what can we give. I mean, what we can take.
Yep. Take
Is
great. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also a fear around travel, I think, too, which is an interesting thing that's happening, that the world seems unsafe, or that what we hear on the news, and it's my experience, wherever it is. And I've been to, to Israel, and I've met people who are um, um, Palestinians living in Israel. This was from actually another whole part of my life, having to do with something called Kingian nonviolence, but that's maybe another
oh,
part. It's part of this conversation, I suppose. In
yeah.
any case, I think wherever we go, there are families, there are mothers, there are children, there are people that want to have a safe and caring existence. And most of the time, people look out for one another, and I think we just need to keep that in mind, and be open to that. There are a lot more women traveling, and actually solo travelers these days,
Mhm.
trying to sort of have, you know, I don't, there's lots of reasons for it, but so I think there's a lot more possibilities than not, in terms of trusting that you'll be okay when you're out and about in the world.
Especially with somebody with your background, your expertise, your heart, it would be very encouraging to travel with someone like you who
Mm,
sets it up with such intention and
mm.
integrity,
Well, thank
and
you.
there's such purpose about what you're doing, and then that would make me feel so good about being a part of that. So yeah, it just sounds
Mm,
amazing. And what an a one I'm thankful to your parents for
mm,
letting you start your life the way they did, with all that exposure to the broader horizon of this planet.
mm,
And so in all of your adventures, and in particular with your experience with pickleball,
mhm,
what would you say are some life lessons, either that you learned in your travels
mhm,
or from your childhood, whatever, that you find yourself using on the court,
mm.
or lessons that while you were playing, you thought, whoa, that's something important for me to remember in my life? Do you have
Yeah.
some life lessons you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, for me, being on the court and just being able to stay connected to focus on the ball, let's say, and just to really be able to let go of thinking and let go of having to make decisions. It's a really freeing thing. I believe each one of us has our sort of our essence is energy or spirit,
Yeah.
and that the ego and the personality and all of the experiences we've had and how we interpret the world and how we identify, those are all things that are there. But what we remember and what's really important is, how we are inside, and that light, that place that's sort of, I think, really love is really the essence of it,
Mhm.
um, comes out on the court. I believe you can, find that on the pickleball court. So I am writing a book about it,
Ah,
pickleball and presence, and it's sort of a working title, but I think we're meant to each have, joy. I think that that's also part of one's essence, and that goes away. It gets tamped down or it gets shifted,
mhm.
or there's ways that people talk badly about oneself on the court. You make a bad shot and you can really feel terrible, and different levels of that. And so being able to sort of recognize, like, from one point to the next, it's sort of a fresh start, and I think that translates into life. We have choices at every moment. We can make a new choice about how we're going to see something, or being able to stop and use our senses and come back into the moment. So I think pickleball can really be a vehicle for some of that,
I love that.
if that made any sense.
Oh, it made so much sense. In fact, I was resonating with everything you were saying. It's like, yep,
Mm.
Yeah.
been there. Oh, yeah, talking to
Yeah.
myself in a not
Yeah, I
very,
wonder. I wonder how that. Yeah.
and then being present in the moment. It's like, yeah,
And
breathe.
I think of pickleball as I've said about an adult playground. Now it's all ages, but I love that pickleball is a way for people to have a social life and to make those connections. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just so true for people,
So true.
making friends and just playing. Like, it's like going on a play date. I mean, we get
It
to have
Yep.
is.
play dates, right? So that's really awesome.
It is.
I have a
Yes.
trip
Now,
coming up in November. That's the Sisterhood of Pickleball.
tell us about the upcoming trip that you have. What's your
So
upcoming
we're
trip?
going to Punta Cana. We stay at this Club Med resort. There are
Wow.
8 pickleball courts there, so it
Nice.
works for a group trip. And it's a sisterhood of pickleball. And I have coaches that I bring on my trips. I have wonderful coaches, Daniela Niss and Ellen Korolitz, and it's really about learning and being together and sharing. Women from all over the country. And those women also have expressed interest in other types of travel and other types of trips. And I really, really do love facilitating trips. So as you were saying, you'd feel good about kind of being in an experience that I might curate, and that really brings me joy, because I'd really, I'd really love to build experiences that are connective in that way. And I'm a drummer. I play congas, and I've had a
Yeah.
lot of experiences with, actually, women's drumming world music camps, and there's a lot of power in
That's,
what women can do together, what men and women can do together, what people can do together. Um,
Wow. You're like
wow.
the one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So how can people find you, by the way?
So I can be found online, Melinda Alcosser, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, withhearttravel.com, travelandpickleball.com. So I do have sort of 2 websites, but
Good.
travelandpickleball.com is one that probably is easy to remember.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, Melinda,
Wow.
very inspiring, very
Very.
exciting. Love this work with freshwater. What is that
Mhm.
organization again?
So that is, Call to Care Uganda is the name of the organization. My fundraiser, I can give you the link. I actually
Yeah.
am doing it through an organization called Give Butter, which is like a GoFundMe type of
Huh.
thing. the Carpe Dinkum Giving Club. I need to get my sort of my act together with how I can put all this into a
It's a
place
great
that
idea.
is
Yeah.
mine. But
Yeah. Well, we'll put those links in our text
okay.
for
And if
the.
you go to travelandpickleball.com, there is a menu bar that says fundraiser at the top. So that also
Okay.
can be another way to find it.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh my gosh. Shelley,
Well, I
doesn't it
always,
sound pretty amazing?
yes, yes. And I try to focus living my life with joy and always thinking of that, but I've never thought about it. I mean, I have fun on the
Mm,
pickleball court, but I've never showed up with the
yeah.
intention of I'm just going to feel joy on the court. Like you just said, that
Yeah.
brings me so
And give
much joy.
that to
I'm
yourself.
I'm going to
Right.
do that when I play on
Oh,
Wednesday.
that's great.
It's my
You know
next
what
time.
else? One other thing is the patience too. That's the other thing I love about pickleball is that we we have so much more time than we realize on the courts,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it's so easy to rush and get into the point and when it's happening. But that's the other thing I love about it is just sort of remembering to slow down, and that also can be translated into life, right? And then I think the joy
Mhm.
can bubble up a little more easily.
Yeah.
Bubble up. Well, you've bubbled up our joy today. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
And
you.
we know
Thank
you
you
have
so
for all
much.
of our viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in and share this. And hey, you want to have a travel experience with heart and purpose and help the world be a better place? Contact, what is it?
Melinda at With Heart Travel and travelandpickleball.com.
There you go. Well, thank you all. And we look forward to a new conversation next week. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
If you love our podcast, we'd be so grateful if you'd take a few seconds to follow or subscribe to Life Lessons from Pickleball. This ensures you'll never miss an episode and helps us continue these wonderful conversations.
On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, go to the show page and tap the follow button in the top right corner. And on YouTube, click the subscribe button under any of the episodes.
Thanks so much. Hope to see you on the court.